Good morning. This is Kent Blaylock with SDG Bible Study. That's the Soli Deo Gloria Bible Study coming to you on this Sunday morning, February the 1st, 2026. Still a snowy day here in the Carolinas. The snow has stopped, but in no means is it gone. Very cold weather this morning, so we're going to have snow for a while. But thankful to be up and about and reading God's Word this morning as we continue reading from As It Happened. A daily chronological walk through Scripture will be in Exodus chapters 7, 8, and 9 this morning. Then on to Daily Doctrine, daily guide to systematic theology. So join me as we read God's Word together this morning. Exodus chapter 7. Then Yahweh said to Moses, "See, I set you as God to Pharaoh, and your brother Aaron shall be your prophet. You shall speak all that I command you, and your brother Aaron shall speak to Pharaoh, that he let the sons of Israel go out of his land. But I will harden Pharaoh's heart with stiffness, that I may multiply my signs and my wonders in the land of Egypt. But Pharaoh will not listen to you, and I will set my hand upon Egypt and bring out my host, my people, the sons of Israel, from the land of Egypt by great judgments. Then the Egyptians shall know that I am Yahweh when I stretch out my hand against Egypt and bring out the sons of Israel from their midst." So Moses and Aaron did it as Yahweh commanded them. Thus they did. Now Moses was 80 years old and Aaron 83 years old when they spoke to Pharaoh. And Yahweh spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, "When Pharaoh speaks to you, saying, 'Work a miraculous wonder,' then you shall say to Aaron, 'Take your staff and throw it down before Pharaoh, that it may become a serpent.'" So Moses and Aaron came to Pharaoh, and thus they did just as Yahweh had commanded. And Aaron threw his staff down before Pharaoh and his servants, and it became a serpent. Then Pharaoh also called for the wise men and the sorcerers and the magicians of Egypt did the same with their secret arts. And each one threw down his staff, and they became serpents. But Aaron's staff swallowed up their staffs. Yet Pharaoh's heart was hardened with strength, and he did not listen to them as Yahweh had spoken. Then Yahweh said to Moses, "Pharaoh's heart is hard with firmness. He refuses to let the people go. Go to Pharaoh in the morning as he is going out to the water, and station yourself to meet him on the bank of the Nile. And you shall take in your hand the staff that was turned into a serpent. And you shall say to him, 'Yahweh, the God of the Hebrews, sent me to you, saying, Let my people go, that they may serve me in the wilderness. But behold, you have not listened until now. Thus says Yahweh, by this you shall know that I am Yahweh. Behold, I am about to strike the water that is in the Nile with the staff that is in my hand, and it will be turned to blood. And the fish that are in the Nile will die, and the Nile will become foul, and the Egyptians will be weary of drinking water from the Nile.' Then Yahweh said to Moses, 'Say to Aaron, take your staff and stretch out your hand over the waters of Egypt, over their rivers, over their streams, and over their pools, and over all their reservoirs of water, that they may become blood, and there will be blood throughout the land of Egypt. And there will be blood throughout all the land of Egypt, both in vessels of wood and in vessels of stone.' So Moses and Aaron did thus as Yahweh had commanded, and he raised up the staff and struck the water that was in the Nile, in the sight of Pharaoh, and in the sight of his servants. And all the water that was in the Nile was turned to blood. And the fish that were in the Nile died, and the Nile became foul, so that the Egyptians could not drink water from the Nile. And the blood was through all the land of Egypt. Yet the magicians of Egypt did the same with their secret arts, and Pharaoh's heart was hardened with strength, and he did not listen to them as Yahweh had spoken. Then Pharaoh turned and went into his house, and he did not set his heart even on this. So all the Egyptians dug around the Nile for water to drink, for they could not drink of the water of the Nile. And 7 full days passed after Yahweh had struck the Nile. Exodus chapter 8. Then Yahweh said to Moses, "Come to Pharaoh and say to him, Thus says Yahweh, let my people go, that they may serve me. But if you refuse to let them go, behold, I will smite your whole territory with frogs." and the Nile will swarm with frogs, and they will go up and come into your house and into your bedroom and on your bed and into the houses of your servants and on your people and into your ovens and into your kneading bowls. So the frogs will come up on you and on your people and on all your servants. Then Yahweh said to Moses, say to Aaron, stretch out your hand with your staff over the rivers, over the streams, and over the pools, and cause the frogs to come up on the land of Egypt. So Aaron stretched out his hand over the waters of Egypt, and the frogs came up and covered the land of Egypt. And the magicians did the same with their secret arts. They caused the frogs to come up on the land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron and said, entreat Yahweh that he may cause the frogs to depart from me and from my people, and I will let the people go, that they may sacrifice to Yahweh. And Moses said to Pharaoh, may the honor be yours to tell me, when shall I entreat for you and for your servants and for your people, that the frogs be cut off from you and your houses, that they may remain only in the Nile? Then he said, tomorrow. So he said, may it be according to your word, that you may know that there is no one like Yahweh, our God. And the frogs will depart from you and your houses and your servants and your people. They will remain only in the Nile. Then Moses and Aaron went out from Pharaoh, and Moses cried out to Yahweh concerning the frogs which he had set upon Pharaoh. So Yahweh did according to the word of Moses, and the frogs died out of the houses, the courts, and the fields. So they piled them in heaps, and the land became foul. Then Pharaoh saw that there was relief, and he hardened his heart with firmness, and did not listen to them as Yahweh had spoken. Then Yahweh said to Moses, say to Aaron, stretch out your staff and strike the dust of the earth, that it may become gnats through all the land of Egypt. And they did so, and Aaron stretched out his hand with his staff and struck the dust of the earth, and there were gnats on man and beast. All the dust of the earth became gnats through all the land of Egypt. Then the magicians did the same with their secret arts in order to bring forth gnats, but they could not. So there were gnats on man and beast. And the magician said to Pharaoh, this is the finger of God. But Pharaoh's heart was hardened with strength, and he did not listen to them, as Yahweh had spoken. And Yahweh said to Moses, rise early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh as he comes out to the water, and you shall say to him, thus says Yahweh, let my people go, that they may serve me. For if you do not let my people go, behold, I will send swarms of flies on you and on your servants and on your people and into your houses, and the houses of the Egyptians will be full of swarms of flies, and also the ground on which they stand. But on that day I will make a distinction for the land of Goshen, where my people are living, so that no swarms of flies will be there, that you may know that I, Yahweh, am in the midst of the land. And I will put a division between my people and your people. Tomorrow this sign will happen. Then Yahweh did so, and there came heavy swarms of flies into the house of Pharaoh and the houses of his servants, and the land was laid waste because of the swarms of flies in all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron and said, go, sacrifice to your God within the land. But Moses said, it is not right to do so, for we will sacrifice to Yahweh our God what is an abomination to the Egyptians. If we sacrifice what is an abomination to the Egyptians before their eyes, will they not then stone us? We must go a 3 days' journey into the wilderness and sacrifice to Yahweh our God, as he says to us. And Pharaoh said, I will let you go, that you may sacrifice to Yahweh your God in the wilderness. Only you shall not go very far away. Entreat for me. Then Moses said, behold, I am going out from you, and I shall entreat Yahweh that the swarms of flies may depart from Pharaoh, from his servants, and from his people tomorrow. Only may Pharaoh not deal deceitfully again in not letting the people go to sacrifice to Yahweh. So Moses went out from Pharaoh and entreated Yahweh, and Yahweh did according to the word of Moses, and caused the swarms of flies to depart from Pharaoh, from his servants, and from his people. Not one remained. Then Pharaoh hardened his heart with firmness this time also, and he did not let the people go. Exodus chapter 9. Then Yahweh said to Moses, come to Pharaoh and speak to him. Thus says Yahweh, the God of the Hebrews, Let my people go, that they may serve me. For if you refuse to let them go and continue to hold them, behold, the hand of Yahweh will come with a very heavy pestilence on your livestock, which are in the field, on the horses, on the donkeys, on the camels, on the herds, and on the flocks. But Yahweh will make a distinction between the livestock of Israel and the livestock of Egypt, so that nothing will die of all that belongs to the sons of Israel. Yahweh also set a definite time, saying, tomorrow Yahweh will do this thing in the land. So Yahweh did this thing on the next day, and all the livestock of Egypt died. But of the livestock of the sons of Israel, not one died. And Pharaoh sent, and behold, there was not even one of the livestock of Israel dead. But the heart of Pharaoh was hardened with firmness, and he did not let the people go. Then Yahweh said to Moses and Aaron, take for yourselves handfuls of soot from a kiln, and let Moses toss it toward the sky in the sight of Pharaoh. And it will become fine dust over all the land of Egypt, and it will become bulls breaking out with sores on man and beast through all the land of Egypt. So they took the soot from the kiln and stood before Pharaoh, and Moses tossed it toward the sky, and it became bulls breaking out with sores on man and beast. And the magicians could not stand before Moses because of the bulls, for the bulls were on the magicians as well as on all the Egyptians. And Yahweh hardened Pharaoh's heart with strength, and he did not listen to them, just as Yahweh had spoken to Moses. And Yahweh said to Moses, rise up early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh, and you shall say to him, thus says Yahweh, the God of the Hebrews, let my people go, that they may serve me. For this time I will send all my plagues against your heart and amongst your servants and your people, so that you may know that there is no one like me in all the earth. For if by now I had sent forth my hand and struck you and your people with pestilence, you would then have been wiped out from the earth. But indeed, for this reason I have caused you to stand, in order to show you my power, and in order to recount my name through all the earth. Still, you exalt yourself against my people by not letting them go. Behold, about this time tomorrow, I will rain down very heavy hail, such as has not been seen in Egypt from the day it was founded until now. So now send, bring your livestock and whatever you have in the field to safety. Every man and beast that is found in the field and is not brought home, the hail will come down on them, and they will die. The one among the servants of Pharaoh who feared the word of Yahweh made his servants and his livestock flee into the houses. But he who did not consider in his heart the word of Yahweh left his servants and his livestock in the field. Now Yahweh said to Moses, stretch out your hand toward the sky, that there may be hail on all the land of Egypt, on man and on beast and on every plant of the field throughout the land of Egypt. So Moses stretched out his staff toward the sky, and Yahweh gave forth thunder and hail, and fire went down to the earth, and Yahweh rained down hail on the land of Egypt. So there was hail and fire flashing continually in the midst of the hail, very heavy, such as had not been in all the land of Egypt since it became a nation. And the hail struck all that was in the field through all the land of Egypt, from man to beast. The hail also struck every plant of the field and shattered every tree of the field. Only in the land of Goshen, where the sons of Israel were, there was no hail. Then Pharaoh sent and called for Moses and Aaron and said to them, I have sinned this time. Yahweh is the righteous one, and I and my people are the wicked ones. Entreat Yahweh, for God's thunder and hail are too much. And I will let you go, and you shall stay no longer. And Moses said to him, as soon as I go out of the city, I will spread out my hands to Yahweh. The thunder will cease, and there will be hail no longer, that you may know that the earth is Yahweh's. But as for you and your servants, I know that you do not yet fear Yahweh, God. Now the flax and the barley were struck down, for the barley was in the ear, and the flax was in the bud. But the wheat and the spelt were not struck down, for they are late ripening. Moses went out of the city from Pharaoh and spread out his hands to Yahweh. And the thunder and the hail ceased, and rain no longer poured on the earth. But Pharaoh saw that the rain and the hail and the thunder had ceased. So he sinned again and hardened his heart with firmness, he and his servants. And Pharaoh's heart was hardened with strength, and he did not let the sons of Israel go, just as Yahweh had spoken by the hand of Moses. And that is going to conclude our reading from the biblical text this morning. Now we'll move on to the reading of Daily Doctrine. Day 32, Aseity. The first attribute of God we encounter in the Bible is his self-existence. Alongside God as creator, we immediately encounter God in his aseity. The word aseity comes from Latin, a meaning from, and se meaning self. Divine aseity means God exists in and of himself. He is before all things, and on him all things depend. He exists absolutely independent of anything or anyone else. Think about the first verse of the Bible. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. These 10 words, 7 words in Hebrew, are more than an introduction to a chapter or an introduction to Genesis or the Pentateuch or even an introduction to the Bible. These 10 words introduce the entire history of the universe. They lay the first brick in the foundation, actually several bricks, for an entire way of seeing, understanding, and inhabiting our world. They tell us the origin and the telos of all things. In the beginning, there was God. Actually, even before there was a beginning, there was God. Genesis is about the beginning of everything except for God. He always has been, always is, and always will be. God is God. There's nothing else and no one else who compares with him. God doesn't get lonely or bored or scared. He doesn't need anything from anyone. He is the great I am. The Bible starts with the God who never started. The Bible's opening sentence is crucially important, not only for what it says, but for what it does not say. Notice that there is no prefatory material before the first verse, no background material before the action gets started in Genesis. There's nothing about a struggle among the gods and goddesses like we read about in ancient Near Eastern mythology. There's nothing about God needing something or someone. There's nothing about pre-existent matter that God then shaped and formed. God predates the story because the story that has been decreed, the one we read in the Bible, the one that you and I inhabit, is a story that has God as its author and its object and its center. God doesn't enter into the story because he is the story. God's interdependence and self-existence are assumed throughout the Bible and understood in several passages. Jesus tells us that the Father has life in himself and has granted the Son also to have life in himself. John chapter 5, verse 26. Likewise, Moses prays, Lord, you have been our dwelling place in all generations. Before the mountains were brought forth, or ever you had formed the earth and the world, from everlasting to everlasting, you are God. Psalms 90, verses 1 and 2. Aseity means that God is distinct from his creation. We live and move and have our being in God. Acts chapter 17, verse 28, not the other way around. In a world that constantly tells us to express ourselves and find ourselves, and sometimes even to create ourselves, we must remember that only God has life in himself, only God exists of himself, and only God owes his being to no one and nothing. And that's going to complete our reading from Daily Doctrine and the biblical text as we've read about the aseity of God this morning. The aseity of God, what a mind-blowing concept, that God is always, he's self-existent. He's always been. He is the great I am. He is the only one that is truly a being. We are, as R.C. Sproul said, a becoming. We're always becoming something. God has always been self-existence. He is who he is. Creation came forth from him, and it's a mind-blowing concept. It is for me. I don't know about you. And then we see the plagues being pronounced on Pharaoh and the Egyptians here in Exodus chapter 7, 8, and 9. And yet the hardness of Pharaoh's heart continues because God is using that so his glory and his wonders can be seen by all. And Pharaoh, stubborn-hearted Pharaoh, is bringing judgment upon himself and all the Egyptians. I hope you've been encouraged by today's reading, and I hope you give God glory in everything that you do. Soli Deo Gloria.